Bring out the talent.
Bring out the talent.
Bring out the talent.
Welcome to Bring Out the Talent, a podcast featuring learning and development experts discussing innovative approaches and industry insights. Tune in to hear our talent help develop yours. Now here are your hosts, TTA's CEO and President Maria Melfa and Talent Manager Jocelyn Allen.
Hello, everybody. This is Maria.
And hello, my friends. It is Jocelyn, and I am out of breath because we just had the ultimate shakedown to our theme song. I never get sick of that.
Yes, and I almost forgot my name today because it's been that kind of day. So much information in my brain, it's just falling out. So let's get started. We're in the midst of a collaboration revolution, working with everyone all the time across silos and platforms. But sometimes it feels like we're stuck in a no-win cycle, dealing with overwhelming influx of asks with unclear lines of communication and authority. This leaves many business leaders and employees asking how can they improve their way their teams work together. In today's episode, we speak with one of our favorite first-time returning guests, Bruce Tulgan. Bruce is going to help us improve the way we work together, motivate us to rethink collaboration in the workplace, know how and when to say no or not yet or heck no, and how to say yes, how to better understand the peculiar mathematics of real influence, and so much more. Bruce Tulgan is the founder and CEO of Rainmaker Thinking and an internationally recognized leading expert on the best practices of effective management. He has worked with tens of thousands of leaders and managers in hundreds of organizations. He has also written numerous best-selling books, including The Art of Being Indispensable at Work, The 27 Challenges Managers Face, It's Okay to Be the Boss, Managing Generation X, and one of my favorites, Not Everybody Gets a Trophy. Welcome back, Bruce.
Oh, Maria, thank you so much. And Jocelyn, both of you, what a privilege to be back on with you. You guys run a phenomenal organization, and what fun to be part of this podcast again.
Excellent. So you are not only our second time guest, but you are our first guest when we kicked off our very first podcast.
Maria, I'm getting goosebumps.
I was going to say that's a whole lot of number ones you're living up to, Bruce.
Exactly. So I've heard Bruce speak many times at conferences, and he's always inspired me. So love to always speak to him. And I have tons of business books on my desk, and I know a lot of them are great books, but I very much enjoy Bruce's, and he's probably one of the few that I have read. So,
well, thank you. I mean,
yes.
My books have the great benefit of being short. So
yes, that's why I read them.
Me, how do you write so many books? And I say, I don't write them, I type them.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So that's why I read them, because any book longer than 100 pages, I can't do it. So I know your books are a little more than that, but
like 170 pages.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been well over a year since we've had the pleasure of chatting with you, Bruce. It seems like there's been a lot of interesting highlights from the past 12 months that you've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, of course, I've been locked in a cage like everyone else during the pandemic where I'm not able to travel. And we luckily put in a TV studio where we're able to do remote programs for organizations of all shapes and sizes right here from our TV studio. So I thought, gosh, maybe I get to stay home from now on and forevermore. Although I will say the last 6 months I've been on the road again. Last week I was in Dubai on the way to Bangkok, and I was in Bangkok for 46 hours. Door to door, the trip was 102 hours. The week before that, I was in Kentucky. The week before that, I was in Alaska. So we're back on the road, and what we're doing is helping organizations grapple with the tremendous shortage of skilled talent. We're trying to help organizations help get their new people on board and up to speed successfully. We're trying to help them adjust to leading and managing people in this new post-pandemic environment where so many people are working remotely. And to your point at the beginning, everybody now is relying on each other, up, down, sideways, and diagonal, inside and outside their organization. Who do you work for? Well, my boss. Who else? Oh, everybody else. Right. So in that environment, luckily, what we bring to the table is we've been doing research as on the front lines of the workplace for 29 years. We're always doing in-depth interviews. We're always studying what is hard for people. And we're more to the point, I guess, studying what are the solutions that are working for leaders, managers, supervisors, and individual contributors everywhere, up, down, sideways, and diagonal in an organization. So look, what my mission is always just to help people do more, better, faster, and achieve more and earn more rewards for themselves and to help them support their families.
Outstanding, Bruce. I mean, your energy is infectious, and it's probably the main reason we wanted to have you back. Not only do you bring incredible content to the table, but your way of conveying it and communicating it is fun. Like, I've been on mute because I'm loud, and so like sometimes Maria's microphone could pick me up, but if you heard me laughing to the jokes you just told, I definitely would have picked up an echo because your humor just kills me. It kicks me in the sides. It's the best. But speaking of that kind of attitude,
Dawson, what are you trying to say? You trying to say I'm a clown or something?
Yes. Positively and assuredly, yes. And that's what makes me adore you. So it's a good thing. Add it to the resume.
That's kind of you.
So, but speaking of that energy and that can-do attitude and pushing things forward, you wrote another book, and in the middle of the pandemic, you released The Art of Being Indispensable at Work, Win Influence, Beat Over Commitment, and Get the Right Things Done. So what are the reasons? I'm sure you mentioned a couple of them in the intro, but what are the reasons that you have for writing this book?
Well, from the organizational standpoint, the CEOs, the COOs, the CFOs, the C-suite executives with whom we're always working, from their standpoint, it's about pushing information sharing, decision-making, and action down the chain of command. And it's about getting people working, not just up and down with their leaders and their direct reports, but with cross-functional partners all over the organization. So the book is in part meant to help business leaders execute on that vision and on that imperative. But the book is really intended as a toolkit for individuals working throughout those organizations. Because everywhere we go, we talk to people and they say, gosh, I have a job to do. And by the way, that's always a moving target. My boss is telling me, all right, here's what we need you to do today, tomorrow, and this week. Are you with me? Are you sure? And they're like, okay. And then meanwhile, they're also inundated by requests if they manage people from their direct reports, whether or not they manage people from cross-functional partners in other departments, from other leaders who maybe are not their immediate boss, but maybe a colleague of their boss, from other individual contributors who maybe aren't on their team, but are sideways. So, you know, what's happening now is everything's moving so fast, right? We're operating in a global environment that's fueled by technology where, depending on the scope of your organization, you're getting requests from people all day, every day. Sometimes they're people you know well. Sometimes they're people you barely know, or you only know them from their signature on a Zoom call. So what the impetus of writing this book was to try to give business leaders something they can give to their people that says, hey, here's how to conduct yourself in this environment, right? You want to be a go-to person. You want to be valuable. You want people to be coming to you with requests because that means you're valuable, right? That means they're coming to, I need you, right? They need me. That's good. But how do you navigate that when you can't do everything for everybody? How do you navigate that when you don't want to say no? How do you navigate that when you can't say yes to everyone and everything? You can't do everything for everybody. You got too much work to do, not enough time. So how do you make yourself confident as a go-to person but also keep building up your influence, know when to say no, how to say, how do you make sure you keep working smart and finish what you start, that you make relationships better and better and better rather than creating relationship friction. How do you do all that without drowning in overcommitment? That's the mission of the book.
I love that, because I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday about this idea of kind of leading with different intentions. Like, are you leading because of leading through expectation, or are you leading through personality styles and communication, and like kind of balancing out things between the two, so that what you're conveying ultimately is this middle ground of here is expectation here, and leading and managing through that so that your goals are reached. But how are you conveying that, and how are you leading the people who need to be communicated to in different ways and different styles, and coming to the consensus that both goals are reached in the end? So yeah, I like that you say that, because it's a very apparent need right now. And your book also talks about that in a revolutionary aspect, right? You call it the collaboration revolution. I love it. I love the dramatics behind it, the need behind it. Like, it sounds like a real thing, because we all understand the need for it. So let's dive into it a little bit. What does this mean for you? What is collaboration revolution, and how does it improve the way teams work together?
Yeah, I mean, one way to think about it is, look, human beings have been collaborating with one another since we were gathering together in hunting bands, chasing after wildebeest. Collaboration is as old as the hills. There's nothing new about collaboration. All collaboration means is working together, relying on each other, and being reliable to each other. But in today's environment, organizations have to be good at so many things all at once. And because we have to be good at so many things all at once, we can't be in it on our own. Well, we've got to rely on each other. And because the competition is so fierce, because things change so fast, we have to be in dialogue with each other. But look, for people day to day, week to week, when I'm talking about the collaboration revolution, what I'm talking about is your organization organized around a standard chain of command, or do you have a matrix? Right? Is it not just your boss, but you also have cross-functional leaders who have dotted line responsibilities, right? Do you have cross-functional teams, interdependent projects, right? I mean, the simplest way to think about it is, hey, did you get this done yet? The answer is, well, no, I'm waiting for Mr. Blue to do such and such, and I'm waiting for Ms. Red to do this other thing. So I can't go forward until I get what I need from Mr. Blue and Ms. Red. That's cross-functional work. That's interdependency. That's collaboration. I do X, I hand it off to you. You do Y and Z, you hand it off to Maria. She does A, B, and C and hands it back to me. That is collaboration in a nutshell. And it's just that means we have to be cooperating with each other. That means we have to be coordinating with each other. And what most people do is, hey, do you have a minute? Hey, do you have a minute? Hey, I'm going to send this thing over to you. Can you? Hey, you said you were going to do such and such. Where is it? Right? And the answer in every case is, where is it? I'm drowning in other competing priorities. That's where is it?
I shouldn't be laughing, but it's funny, but
it's
true.
Maria, it's funny because it's true.
True, exactly.
No, I'm nodding emphatically over here, because I'm like, oh yeah, did that? Yep, did that? Yep,
did it this morning.
Yep, we talked about that earlier. Yeah, like yesterday, we had a conversation about that. Where are we at with this? Oh, this. It all ends up being a miscommunication most of the time, right?
Exactly. And so you say, well, what can we do here? Right. Well, people have to have a better attitude. No, they have a good attitude. Well, people have to try to help each other out. Oh, they are. Right. Well, the medicine here is helping people avoid unnecessary problems, helping people identify problems while they're small and solving them, helping people plan resources so they don't get wasted, helping people go in the right direction the first time or maybe at least the second time, so that they don't waste a bunch of time and energy and have a bunch of rework to do. Right? The medicine here is making sure that we understand each other every step of the way, that we're helping set each other up for success every step of the way, that when we're relying on each other, instead of leaning on someone and saying, me first, me first, me first, instead of doing that, what we're doing is helping each other deliver for each other.
My favorite role to play here is devil's advocate. So what happens, because you also mentioned this in your book, that as the number of people that managers are leading increases and the amount of people that they collaborate with increases, like overwhelm can kind of hit, not knowing what to do and struggling with that drowning feeling. So can we talk about that and how you would navigate business leaders if it's a concern before they even get started, or it's something that they're actively feeling? How do you resolve that if it has to touch a lot of hands, or you're just working with a lot of people day to day?
I mean, the number one thing you can do is put more structure into every dialogue. So much of what we have to say to each other in the workplace is about asking each other for A, B, C, asking each other a question, asking each other for a piece of information, asking each other to do something, asking each other, is this what you need me to do, right? So much of what we have to say to each other is asking for help. So the first and foremost thing we need to do is get better at asking each other. And the second thing we need to get better at is helping each other make our asks more clear, more precise. We have to get better at asking, and we have to help each other get better at asking. That's where things go wrong. Some people are like, oh, I got to learn how to say no. See? Well, sure. Okay. But where all the action is improving how we ask.
So you're talking about mastering how to navigate collaborative relationships and how to do it well, which leads me into my next question is, how much does this have to do with influence? And what is real influence?
Well, it talks about influence, right? But, oh, I don't have authority, right? I don't have authority. Oh, well, if you don't have authority, you have to use influence. Sounds great, but what the heck does it mean? And what a lot of people mean is getting what you need from other people without having rewards to hand out, without having punishments to hand out, without being able to say, that's an order, right? How do you get what you need from people? And so a lot of people are focused on how to get what you need from people without enough power. My view is that leads a lot of people down the road to false influence thinking. As soon as you're trying to get what you need out of other people, you're on the road to losing real influence. Real influence is what you have when other people want to do things for you. Real influence is what you have when other people want to work with you, want you to want to work with them. Right? It's not about, so you can't use real influence in the moment. One moment at a time, you can build up your real influence with others by being truly dedicated to making your needs clear and helping others help you, by being truly dedicated to understanding other people's needs, treating them with respect, and being really candid about what you can do to help them meet their needs and what you can do to help them if you can't help them meet that particular need. What else can you do to help them? Either find someone else who can meet that need, or, hey, if you're, I can't do A, B, and C, but if you ever need X, Y, and Z, I'm your man, right? So the funny thing is, real influence is a long game. It's a long game of building up your reputation as somebody who does what you say, and you say what you're going to do. right? It's the say-do ratio. Real influence comes from being reliable. Real influence comes from treating other people with respect. There's no shortcut to that. So the problem is that we all have to deal with people up, down, sideways, and diagonal. We don't have authority. So people, oh, it's a cliche. Oh, well, then use influence. Well, does that mean I badger? I don't have power, so I badger you. Well, that's a good way to lose real influence. Well, what if I beg and bribe you? Well, that's a good way to lose real influence. What if I say, if you don't help me, I'll be mean to you? What if I bully you? Well, that's a good way, maybe. I mean, there are clods who are corrupt, who badger and bully and bribe and beg and manipulate and threaten. But those clods, those corrupt clods, they may get what they need in the short term. Heck, they could even end up running the entire free world for 4 years. But what they do not do is build up real influence, make people want to do more for them. They don't do that, right? So real influence is a long game that you play one moment at a time by doing the right thing so that when you need it, you've got it. The funny thing is, the most valuable currency you can have is real influence. But the way you get rich in real influence is by serving others.
So how can you tell if it's genuine, real influence?
If it's your own influence, I mean, well, look, sometimes people say to me, well, if I'm always serving others, maybe I'm not building up real influence with them. Maybe I'm just being a fool and they're going to take advantage of me. Well, okay, some people might take advantage of you, but in the long run, you make yourself rich through your reputation for doing the right thing as best you can, one moment at a time, one person at a time. How do you know? Well, I mean, if you're looking for a metric, do other people want to work with you? Do they want you to want to work with them? That's how you measure your real influence. But don't think of it as a lever that you use in the short term. As soon as you're trying to influence others, if you make influence a verb, I'm trying to influence you, then you're on the wrong path. You want to build up that powerful, intangible asset. Your influence lives in other people's hearts and minds. It's how they feel about you, what they think about you. That's your real influence. And so it comes from how you conduct yourself. And what I always tell people is, look, you got to orient yourself to adding maximum value. So that means that you want to say yes. But the best thing you can say yes to is something where, hey, that's my specialty. I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to do it. I know exactly how long it's going to take. And that's my specialty. I can do that for you. Sure. That's why. Because if you're doing something that's your specialty, you know what it looks like. You know the amount of value you're going to add. Now, if somebody comes to you and says, could you do this other thing for me? Right. And you're thinking, that's not my job. You're not my boss. No. What you might legitimately think, though, is, gosh, that's not my specialty. And you might even think, I have other tasks, responsibilities, and projects that are my specialty that I've been required to do by somebody who does have authority in the workplace. So I really want to help you. Hey, that's not my specialty is very different from that's not my job. That's not my specialty. What does that mean? I have a big learning curve. Sure, I could do that for you, but I'll have to learn first, right? But you know, if you're dedicated to adding value, you don't say, "Oh, I'll pretend I know how to do that." If it's not your specialty, you don't know how to do it. You don't know when to do it. You don't know when you're going to get it done. So be careful. You don't say yes. Then you're not ready to say yes until you know what to do, how to do it, when you're going to do it, how long it's going to take, what it's going to look like to deliver. You're not ready to say yes.
I think that would be a good title for your next book.
When to say no and how to say yes.
Or you're not ready to say yes.
Well, I'll tell you, the original title of Indispensable was When to Say No, How to Say Yes. But Harvard Business School Press thought, or Harvard Business Review Press thought that wasn't a good title. So.
Well, what do they know, right?
Yeah,
They
I
just
mean,
thought it was terrible. I love the way you
I
say it.
like it.
So it's a good segue because I like this topic of no versus yes, knowing when not to waste them, how to say yes appropriately. So you talk about this in the book too, of the importance of saying no or not yet, or how you're saying yes and what goes along with it. So can you unpack that a little bit, like how to not waste your yeses and how to learn how to plan for success around those areas?
well, look, some no's are easy. If you're not allowed to do it, the answer is no. If you're not able to do it, either because you don't have the skill, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the resources, or you just do not have the time, you have to say no. The hard part is, when should you do this, really? Where does it line up with your other competing priorities? Is this should I do this? Well, part of the should you do it is you have to know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, how long it's going to take. So before should, it's not just that you need to know other competing priorities. You have to know what's going to be involved in starting to make this one of your new specialties, right? Because hey, this isn't my specialty, I'm going to have to learn about this. What you're really saying is, I'm going to have to investigate this and see, I got to learn about this, right? So one of the things I always tell people is, let's say it is your specialty, but you're just super busy. Right, then that's why the key is how to say yes. Yes, I can do this for you. It looks like I have time 7 weeks from Thursday. And you're not saying no. You're saying, I can do this 7 weeks from Thursday. Oh, no. Just take it on and start juggling. Well, golly, if I'm juggling, I'm going to drop a ball. Right? If you're always juggling, you're going to drop a ball. And you say, I'm not in the business of dropping balls, right? My work is too important. My commitment is too strong. I'm not going to make a commitment to you unless I know I can meet it. For me, yes is a profound commitment. So, but what I always tell people, the other thing is, slow down and pay closer attention to the end. You may think you know what you're being asked, but maybe you don't. Hey, maybe the other person's not so good at asking yet. So slow down and pay attention to the ask. First thing you do is start taking notes, and do it conspicuously. Because when you take notes, you send a message that I respect you. I respect your need. I'm treating you and your need like they're important. I really want to learn about this need you have. I respect you and your need enough that I'm going to slow down and take notes. Let me ask some questions. Let me make sure I really understand. Hey, I may have to go back and do some homework. Hey, it may be that you don't quite understand what I do and how I do it, so your ask is a little clumsy. Let me help you get better at this ask, right? Let me help you fine tune it. And in doing so, you also buy a little bit of your time. By the way, if you have to say no, by slowing down, paying attention to the ask, taking notes and asking good questions and treating the ask with respect, you show somebody that you respect them. You show somebody how you make decisions, right? That you're not just jumping to a no. And also you make it so much more likely that your answer, your decision, your yes or your no or your not yet, or your heck no, you make it so much more likely that it's going to be a really good one because you slowed down and did your due diligence.
So that's great information, Bruce. Always love listening to you. I could listen to you for hours. And I know you wanted to.
That is so kind of you. I've been told that I like listening to the sound of my own voice, but then I have to stop and scratch my head and say, gosh, is that true? I hope other people are enjoying it. So Maria, you are a wonderful source of confirmation and you buoy my self-esteem every time we talk. And because you are a monumental business leader in your own right, your respect means the world to me. Jocelyn, you too, but I mean, come on, Maria.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks for throwing that in there.
No, but it's just a lot of great information. So as we wrap up, Bruce, I know you and your company, Rainmaker Thinking, you do so many valuable things for organizations, for our audience that would like to learn more about how you can go and help their organization. Can you just give us a little bit of information on that?
Yeah, I mean, so you go to rainmakerthinking.com and you find us and all our stuff. I guess we're best known as a source of insight. There's lots of articles, free articles, podcasts, interviews and stuff that's available at the website. I have written 21 books, believe it or not. As you pointed out earlier, most of them are short. Some of them are pretty good. And we also have video training and all that stuff. But the thing that a lot of folks don't know is that we do organizational research. We go in and do assessments of individuals, of teams, of organizations. We do in-depth interviews and focus groups and surveys. And what we do is our goal is not to give you a report that shows what everybody's favorite color is, but rather our goal is to gather real strategic, actionable information to build relationships, to identify development opportunities, to identify problems that are hiding below the radar, to identify people who have so much more to offer. So what we do is we go in and we get to know an organization and its people. And then I use those relationships and that analysis to provide guidance and direction to CEOs and CFOs and COOs. And often it's after an acquisition, right? If you buy a new company, you got to get to know those folks. But every bit as often, it's running an organization and they think they know what's going on, but problems hide below the radar.
Always insightful, Bruce. Thank you for all the information. Again, for the way that you deliver it. You crack me up for real. And it's very charming, and it elicits a response from people because you make me want to listen to you. I know you get me. I know you get us. I know you get organizations and how you can help fix their problems. And I think you did an incredible job of conveying that to our audience too. So I think it's time we convey some other information to them and do the TTA 10.
Okay, here we go. I'm ready.
It's the TTA 10 final questions for our guest.
All right, Bruce. So hopefully our audience knows how this works at this point. You know how this works at this point because we debriefed before the show. So David, all I ask of you is that you put 90 seconds on the clock for me. And Bruce, are you ready?
I'll do my best.
Jocelyn, 90 seconds on the TTA 10 clock starting now.
All right, Bruce, who is your favorite musical artist of all time?
The Beatles.
What is your favorite kind of cookie?
Chocolate chip.
What was the last movie you watched?
Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it, but we went and saw it. It's kind of a parody of an Agatha Christie movie. See How They Run. See How They Run.
Love it. Who would you say is your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration is the Bible, but as far as people go, my wife. Next to my wife, my parents, my niece. My niece Frances is a huge inspiration to me. Admiral McCraven lately is one of my big influences.
Right. And the Kool-Aid man just burst through the wall. What does he say?
Hey, Kool-Aid. What did he say? I don't know. I think it was I was hot and I needed a glass of Kool-Aid. Something like that.
Name a state that ends with S.
Massachusetts. The Commonwealth. I'm a native of the Commonwealth.
There you go. If you could eliminate any food from the planet because you think it's just so terrible, what would it be?
I mean, I don't want to eliminate food. I guess there are people who eat insects, but I think they need those insects for the protein. I could do without a lot of things. I could do without garlic, frankly, but okay. I know a lot of people couldn't. So.
Name one of Mickey Mouse's best friends.
Goofy.
What is the third month of the year?
I mean, March? Is that open to debate?
Who would you cast to play you in a movie about your life?
Golly, I mean, I'd like to get the part if I could. Otherwise, I'd like it to be someone who's sort of strikingly handsome and someone who's not really believable insofar as, come on, let's face it, Bruce, get a clue, I guess. George Clooney.
There you go. And with that, we are done. Let's get the time verdict on this one, David. I'm very curious.
Okay. The goal was to make it in 90 seconds. The loquacious Bruce came in at 2 minutes and
It's all those inspirations that you have, Bruce. I love it. It was a good question to give a lot of options for, but
Yeah, I'm a talkative fella.
I'm afraid we have to ring up the shame bell.
Shame.
Yes, Bruce.
Shame.
Well, according to your book of the same name, not everyone gets a trophy, and well, we definitely don't have one for you today because you have failed in your quest to complete the TTA 10. Fire up your new TV studio and send out a breaking news. Our top story tonight, Bruce just couldn't get it done. Perhaps you're a little overconfident today. After all, you are a non-Springsteen Bruce who had the gall to write a book called It's Okay to Be the Boss. Your victory today places you in the club of other disappointing Bruce's. Wimpy Piano Man Bruce Hornsby, Scarecrow and Mrs. King C-list actor Bruce Boxleitner, and of course, overacting Hall of Fame bald man Bruce Willis.
Welcome to the party, pal.
You're the founder of Rainmaker Thinking, and we are sorry to rain on your parade today, Bruce. But better luck next time. Thanks for being a good sport, and Godspeed to you, Bruce. We'll still give you a round of applause.
see, all in good fun, Bruce. It was still a blast. I would expect nothing less from your TTA 10. That was the authentic as could be, and I adore you for it. So thank you for being a good sport. As
thanks
David said,
thanks to all of you, and
time.
you got to bottle this guy, Dave, and because
we know
He's awesome.
For more information on how to bring a positive workplace culture to your organization, visit us at thetrainingassociates.com. We'll see you later.